All right, class, and welcome to lesson 3-8. As we do always, let's start by looking at our learning objective. I can understand that a graph represents a set of data. Here's our set of data. We're going to use that to represent it today using a picture graph. Let's look at the second learning objective. I can determine the scale on a picture graph. The scale has been determined for us. But I also want us to focus on how we would use that scale today as well. So let's get started right away. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to read here up at the top. Justin's scout troop counted the number of white-tailed deer they saw each day during their camping trip. The results are shown in the tally chart. So here are the results. One thing that I like to do when I see results written like this is just to go in and write it in number form instead of tally. So I see on Monday there was 4, on Tuesday there was 2, on Wednesday there was 5, on Thursday there was 6, and on Friday there was 3. So now that I've got my numbers written there, I can start to record on my picture graph. So I'm just going to start here with Monday first. So I look at my data for Monday and there's 4. I look at my key and each circle represents 2 deer. So I've got to think, I'm going to count by my 2's until I get to 4. So I've got 2, 4, so I need 2 circles. And those 2 circles, each one equals 2, and 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's how I know I've got the right amount of circles. So now that I've got that information here, I've got my 2 circles, and I'm going to move on now to Tuesday. So Tuesday's data says that there's only 2 deer. So now I'm going to know that each circle equals 2 deer, so I only need 1. I'm going to keep going on to Wednesday. Wednesday I see 5, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to count up by 2's like I have, and I'm going to go 2, 4. But if I do a whole nother circle, that would be 6. And I don't have 6, so I'm going to cut this circle in half, making it equal to 1. I'm going to get rid of this part of it. So now I know that I have 2, 4, and half of a circle would equal 1. So that would mean that I have 5. I'm going to make sure my half a circle really looks like a half a circle. Okay? Now I'm going to continue on moving to Thursday, and I see that I have 6. So I'm going to count by my 2's. 2, 4, 6. I can color them in. And lastly, I'm going to move on to Friday. And a Friday, again, is an odd number. It doesn't fit with 2 deer. So I'm going to have to, again, do like what I did with Wednesday. And I'm going to have to do a half a circle. So watch here. I've got 2. Draw my circle. Cut it in half. Erase the rest. This is why it's important that we use pencil for our math. And I'm going to solve it. And I've got 2. And half of a circle equals 1, so I've got 3. I really like doing graphs like this in picture graphs because I can see quickly what the data looks like and see that Thursday was the day where they saw the most deer. Let's continue on to the next part of our lesson. All right, I want to take a look at this really quickly. This problem here, this is in your journal, and I want you to follow along. You're going to solve this in a moment, but it asks you to copy your pattern block data from journal page 79 in the table below. And actually, we're not going to copy it. The data that I used won't be helpful for what I want us to learn today. So the new data that we're going to have is we have 16 triangles, 13 wide rhombuses, 7 narrow rhombuses. We'll do 11 hexagons and 12 trapezoids. So I want you to copy that data, this data here, into this page in your journal. Go ahead and take a moment to do that now. When you've got that data copied in, you're going to stop the video. You're going to create a picture graph with the new data, this data here, and you're going to press play to see how I did it. I do want to give you the first step that I would do, If you do notice that there's going to need to be a title that you'll have to come up with. Each one of these rows here will represent a different pattern block. So for example, I would probably start mine, you could start yours differently, but I would start mine with triangles. And then the last thing I want you to notice is right here, it's giving you the information for a key. And so you're going to need to decide each box equals how many pattern blocks. So that's up for you to decide. When you get done looking at that, please press play to see how I did it. So right now, stop. All right, now it's time for us to look at how I solved it. So the first thing I'm looking at is triangles. I've got 16 triangles. I need to make a title first for my graph, and I'm going to look at this for number of pattern blocks. Number of pattern blocks. All right, so now I'm going to get started with my key. I'm going to have each box equal, and I need to find out what they equal. If I just have them equal 1, the most that I could record in this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I look at my data up here, I can see that I can't do that. I can't use that as a number of data, so I need to do something different. So what I'm going to do is, again, it's going to be number of pattern blocks. But I know that my data at least needs to go up to 16. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to try counting out. So if I did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I know I could do each block equals 2. So that's what I'm going to do is each block or square equals 2 pattern blocks. So if I have 16 triangles, I'm going to start to record my data here, counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Triangles are done. I might put a quick check mark there. I'm going to do wide rhombus. So wide. At this point, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to fill in the rest of this graph, and I want you to look at how I did it. I want to pick up right here for a moment because I do notice I've got right now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and I have 13 rhombuses, so I need to do a half of a square. So I'm going to make sure that I show you. So I just draw the half of the square and then record it that way. I'm going to do the same thing with narrow rhombuses. Because I have 7, so I'm going to count first and see 2, 4, 6, and then I'm going to do half of 1. So I'm going to draw my line right there. That way I can fill it in with my narrow rhombuses. All right, so now I've got this graph completely filled out. If you take a moment, check it out. Make sure your work matches mine and see where you made any mistakes. Remember, to learn from your mistakes, you must think failure leads to success and look at them and see what you did wrong and fix them. All right, class, here's the last steps to our lesson. The first thing that I want you to do is you're going to complete page 82 and submit in Seesaw. Page 82 is right here. Notice you're going to be making a picture graph with the data that you see here and then answering the questions. Submit in Seesaw. The next step after that, complete math boxes 3-8. Submit those in Seesaw. When you're finished, complete the rest of the work of 3-8. There's a couple pages that talk about word problems and how to solve those. If you need help, please come find me. But this is the last of our lesson. Remember, at the end of this, you should be able to understand that a graph represents a set of data and determine the scale on a picture graph. Great work today, and signing off from the loft.